Frank Carson was a much-loved comic from Northern Ireland, one of the all-time greats. His catchphrases such as "It's the way I tell him" were mimicked by many, but Mike McCabe, a stand-up comedian himself who hails from County Monaghan, met Frank in person in the 1970s, and the star was so taken with Mike's impression of him that they struck up a friendship. Mike McCabe now brings Frank Carson, "If I Didn't Laugh, I'd Cry" to the stage. You can see his acclaimed performance at the Irish Cultural Centre, Blacks Road, Hammersmith West, 6 at 8 p.m. on Saturday next 24th of March. Now, tickets are just £10, full concessions £8 plus a booking fee from eventbrite.co.uk. Now, to tell us more, I'm pleased to welcome Mike McCabe online. Mike, lovely to speak to you.
And you, Jerry.
Lovely. Now, Mike, informed by the knowledge you gained about Frank through meeting him, have you written the stage dramatisation yourself?
Yeah, I wrote the thing. Basically, I went to Edinburgh and I saw shows about Charles Hawtrey, Bob Monkhouse, people like that, and I thought Frank deserves to be up there. So I met him one night. First time I met him was I don't know, around 70s or something like that, 75, 80, something like that, and somebody said, "Oh, Mike does a good impression of Frank Carson." So Frank gave me the glasses and he said, "Come on, do an impression of me. I hear you. Do a good impression of me." So I took the glasses off him in front of him and then I did the impression. Maggie Murphy was sitting in the front row of the chapel. Suddenly she overbalanced and fell. She went hurtling down into the centre of the aisle, caught the leg of her drawers on one of the rafters and went swinging up and down, exposing herself. That priest said, "If any man turns around to looking at her unfortunate woman, may the Lord strike him blind." And Riley turns round to Casey and he said, "I think I'll risk one eye."
Mighty stuff. Mighty stuff. Now, admirers of the 70s style of humour of TV comedians, of the comedians, will be pleased Frank Carson's jokes get another well-deserved outing. Would you agree it was a golden era of comedy also with the likes of Bob Monkhouse and Stan Boardman, who were contemporaries of Frank Carson?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in our play, I try and bring back the comedians. I mean, I do Ken Goodwin. You know, remember Ken Goodwin, Jerry?
I do indeed, yes.
Yeah, settle down now, settle down. I took my dog for a walk. He says, "Why is your dog wearing brown boots?" He said, "Because those black ones are in the vendors." And there's the other Stan Boardman.
Yes.
I said I was walking down Scotland Road and a policeman pulled me up. He said, "I want you to walk on a straight line." And I said, "Certainly, Ossifer." And he said, "You're staggering." I said, "You're quite handsome yourself."
Brilliant stuff.
And then there was Bernard Manning. Remember Bernard?
I do indeed remember Bernard Manning.
Right.
Controversial.
Irish fella went for a job. Foreman said, "Can you make tea?" He said, "Yeah." "Can you drive a forklift truck?" He said, "How big is a bloody teapot?"
Yes. Controversial comedian indeed was Bernard Manning. Now, Frank Carson, Frank's persona was that of a jolly old Ulster, but this belies many highs and lows. Now, he achieved a major success, such as appearing on the Royal Variety Show and meeting the Pope, but sadly told of siblings he'd lost. Also, he was deeply affected by being shot by a sniper and returning fire, fatally wounding him. That's quite a story, I believe.
Yeah, I enact that story about when he was in the Paris, and apparently they were ambushed by Jewish Zionists because he was sent over there, to try and sort out the war between the Arabs and the Jews, and he saw some of his mates being shot, so the story goes, and so I enact a scene where he tells his little sister Josie, who died when she was about 11 months old, little baby. I've got a photograph there of what he went through and how he felt. And we try and explore Frank, who never stopped talking, always joking. And the reason I got my title was he was working with a lady called Rose Marie. Have you heard of her, Jerry?
I have indeed, yes.
And Rose said to him, Stop, Frank. Will you stop? You're always joking. Why? Why don't you stop and talk? Stop joking. And he turned around to her with deadly seriousness and said, "Do you know, Rose, if I didn't laugh, I'd cry."
Yes.
And that sort of gave me the impetus to write this story, because and it's only my opinion, which can be, I could be totally wrong, Jerry, but I have this idea that that hit him hard, and his brother was killed in action as well, torpedoed during the war, and they didn't know whether it was his father or himself. They were both called John Carson. And he says himself, I joined the army because I wanted to be a hero like my brother. He worshipped his brother. And we tell the story about how he used to use his Brill cream, and he told him his first joke when he was a young lad and all that. And we do get a bit, we sort of explore Frank to an extent. But then, bang on, suddenly there's the jokes again, like Frank himself. We don't delve too long with that sort of stuff,
Right. Now, Frank suffered ill health in time, and the TV work dried up as his material was considered old-fashioned. Yet in his heyday, his quick-fire humour was incredibly popular. You must be proud to bring the memory of Frank Carson back to theatres and stages.
Oh, I'm extremely proud because I worked with Frank a lot, and when I did that earlier impression, which I did for you, he loved that so much. He almost carried me around the Hilton to every table full of celebrities. He said, "When you hear this, do me again. Go on, have a go." And he loved it. And I said, "It's enough now, Frank. I've got to go to the lavatory." He said, "Well, when you come out, do that impression again." And I love bringing back Frank because he's up there with the greatest. I mean, he was. As you know, we got the Knighthood of St. Gregory from the Pope. He performed in front of the Queen. He raised hundreds of thousands for charity, a bit like Jim Davidson, raised a fortune. And a lot of people don't know that about Frank. All they saw was him joking. And that's why I think it's great. I love, and I know he'd be pleased because he said I did the best impression ever, but mind you, he was drunk, so I don't know whether to believe him or not.
I think it's not too bad. Now, critics say that your characterizations are sharp and funny, Mike. You must have had a good reaction so far from audiences.
I have, but sometimes when you're doing different impressions, when I do the four comedians, sometimes one goes into the other, and I don't know whether I'm doing Bernard Manning or Stan Bowman. But I hope everybody will know which one I'm doing, because I got Frank introducing him like we're on the comedians. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the comedians. Da 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 da, and then right, fellow walked in up and so on. What's this? My mother-in-law died last week. The fella said, "Do you want her embalmed, buried, or cremated?" I said, "Take no chances. Give her the bloody lot."
Right. Yes, that was the quick-fire humour indeed of the legendary Frank Carson. Now, you can book for the theatre show Frank Carson, If I Didn't Laugh, I'd Cry. It's at 8 p.m, as mentioned, on Saturday, 24th of March at the Irish Cultural Centre, 5 Blacks Road, Hammersmith West 6. Now, the running time of the play is about an hour, and the new Irish Cultural Centre, excellent venue for meeting friends if you'd like to make a night of it.
Absolutely, Jerry. And it's right next to King Street. As you're going round and roundabout, before you see, I'm on the ball here, promoting myself. Before you come to King Street, Black's Road is on the left. You turn to the left, it's on the left there. But don't ask me about parking. But I think people will hopefully, if they love Frank, as I love Frank, and everybody did. We mentioned the kind of, if you like, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it's nearly all good, but we actually try and sort of look into the man, dig a little deeper,
Indeed. Now, you can book now at eventbrite.co.uk and or follow the link on our website, irishradio.org. As Frank Carson himself might say, it's a cracker. Mike, listen, thank you for taking the time to join me. And listen, I wish you continued success with the play and the show.
Thank you. You're a cracker yourself, Jerry. Good luck to you.
Thank you indeed, Mike.
Bye now. Bye.